in HTML5. So I'm going to go ahead and open that folder. It's somewhere in my documents. The programming in HTML5. It doesn't have anything really. There's nothing in that folder. So we're going to start working on that folder. All right. So so the first thing that I want to show you when it comes to JavaScript. So first, we must just explain what is JavaScript at the first thing. What is JavaScript and what is it used for? Okay. So basically, JavaScript is a programming language for web. All right. So what you can do with JavaScript, you can update and change your HTML and CSS. And then JavaScript has functionalities to calculate, to manipulate, to validate data. So there's actually a lot that you can do in JavaScript. Actually, the definition of JavaScript is that it's for scripting or programming language that allows you to implement complex features on web pages. So every time a web page does more than just, it does more things than you looking at it, maybe. So it's not really static. Okay, so you can display timely content updates, interactive maps, animated 2D 3D graphics, scrolling video jukeboxes, and so on. All of that can be done through JavaScript. Okay, it's actually a third layer of the standard web technologies. Two of them is HTML and CSS. All right, so which we've covered earlier on. All right, so but we're not going to end here with JavaScript. We're still going to continue. All right, so we're still going to continue with HTML and CSS, because we will be building some applications. There's a lot of applications that we're going to build all through this. All right. Okay, so now the first thing that I want to show you on JavaScript is the console. It's using the console. I know most of the people actually use alert to display information. They use prompts. I prefer using console. All right, this is just my own way of. So I'm going to show you some of the things that are there on the console, like how to log something on the console. So what we're going to do here, we'll add. I'm going to create a new folder. You see, I'm going to create a new folder, and then I'm going to call it console. So I'm going to call it console, and then inside console, I'm going to right click there, and I'm going to add a new file, index.html, and I'm going to add another new file called app.js. So now JavaScript files are called, must have an extension of JS at the end. All right, just want to zoom in there a little bit so that you can see. All right, so I've got app.js and index. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my index and insert the HTML structure. So check now. Remember, I promised you to show you the shortcuts, but once you've learned everything, all right, so now it's time for the shortcuts. The time has come, but it doesn't mean that you must be lazy and then stop typing. So just to put the entire HTML structure, what I'm going to do, I'm going to minimize this, just to put the entire HTML structure, we can do exclamation. You put an exclamation, and then you can see that AMAT abbreviation, and then you're going to press tab. So you press tab there. So that will put the entire HTML structure. So you'll have the entire HTML structure there. All right. So you can put your JavaScript files on the head section or in the body section. But my own preference, this is my own preference, I put them in the body. All right. And then where else my style sheet is going to go on the head section. All right. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to write script, and then src. And then where is that file? The file name is app.js. So if it's in another folder, then you must start with the folder name, and then you just say slash the name of the file.js. All right, so that's how you can actually call so I'm gonna put h1 here, and I'm just gonna say console example, or let's just say using console, console. All right. Yeah, it's just using console. Never mind this. All right. So now we can preview this in the browser. So we're just gonna have that using console, nothing else. So what we need to do to get to the console, we press F12 on the keyboard. If you're using, I think also, if it doesn't matter whether you're using Edge, between Edge and Chrome is always F12. Okay, and you must make sure that you switch off your responsiveness like this, and then make sure you click on console. So maybe yours is on the right hand side. I just prefer mine somewhere here. So you must make sure that you select console. Right. So here, that's where we're going to display some of the things on the console. All right. The user don't see this unless, of course, you press F12. But I normally use the console for testing purposes. Like if I want to test something, then I can log it to the console. All right. So I want to show you what we can log on the console. So what we can do, we're going to jump to this file now, JS. All right. Just to make sure that it's actually linked, I normally press like control and then click on it. So you press control and click on it. Okay. So now I'm gonna log to the console. So by the way, this is how you do comments in JavaScript. It's a single line comment is slash slash, it's a forward slash. So it's forward slash. So I can actually log something like console dot log and say hello, it's a good day. Already in the beginning, and already we have an error that oh my word, already there's like an error, but I'll show you now. It's because we're using single quotes, so you can't really use apostrophe there. So but to escape this, you must just put a backslash like this. So this is used to escape that apostrophe. All right, to escape a string. All right, so now if we check this message is going to be logged on the console. If we look at that, then we have this message: hello, it's a good day. All right, you see my console here. Let me just zoom in, and you can see the message that I have logged on my console. All right. So we can also sorry, we can also log. So we can also log. Maybe we log like 512. So, but the numbers you don't quote, you only quote the string, right? So you only quote the string. Okay, so if I go there, and then I can see what is being logged there. Okay, all right, maybe let's log. We can also log like a boolean. So I'll explain later what a boolean is, some sort of a data type. So I can say true there. So because a boolean is like true or false. Okay, so you can log true. So also the boolean, you see, I do not quote it. I do not quote it. But I can also have like a variable, like I can say let name equals let name equals let's say John. Okay, and now I can console log that name. So I can say console dot log name. So this is known as a variable. I will explain what is a variable in a moment. Okay, and we can also log the array. All of these things I will explain. All right, we did not check the name, so you see here we're logging that variable. So if we go and check, then we will be able to see the name John here, right? But if you check, we're just logging the name. But because the name consists, John is stored in the name, so it's just going to print out a value. All right. So another thing, you can also log. So we can also log. Let me see. So we can log an array. So I'm just going to make like an array of values. All right. So this is an array. So we can log the array. Again, I will explain these things on later chapters. All right. So there's an array. So it does also print out the length, that is like 4 values in that array. Okay. So another thing that we can log, we can also log the object. So we can also do like the object. So the object contains a key value, like I can say name is Maria, and I can say age let's say 22. All right, so I can also log an object. So if we look at that, then we can see that object here. All right, so we can also log it in a table. So maybe we can say console.table. We can display it in a table, and just gonna copy and paste this because I want to do the same thing. All right, and we can do that one. So now if we look at this, and then we see the table here, you can actually see the table here. All right. All right, but we can also like display something as an error. So we can say console dot error, and I'm just gonna this is an error. And then if we look at this, then it's gonna display like that. So normally the JavaScript errors, you see them like this, and then it's gonna give you the line number as well. So it's important that you follow that line number and check what the error is, because when you start building some applications, you're gonna get a lot of errors. So you must know how to use your console to check for errors. Sometimes there is also warnings, but before warnings, We can also clear the console. So you can say console dot clear. All right, let's do warnings first. So there's like on console dot one. So the warnings, they're like orange in color. So maybe it's warning that there's something. Also, it's gonna give you a line number uh, about that warning. You see, it's giving me maybe there's something that is obsolete that you're trying to put, or something that is deprecated that you're trying to put. So it's gonna give you a warning. It's not gonna give you an error. It's just gonna say, listen, you can't use this anymore because we're in 2020. So that thing was last used 1994. So it's just going to give you a warning. This doesn't necessarily stops the code from running, but the error, it does stop the code from running. All right, so you must just know that. Okay, so we can also check like the time. How long did it take to let's say to print out something for us? So I can say console dot time, and let's say I type there, hello there, I hope you having a great day. Hope you having a great day. All right, and I want to check how long did it take to actually print that. So now what I can do, I can just do console.log, and I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm gonna copy it a couple of times. All right, that's fine. And then I'm gonna do the console dot time end. Actually, I will just say that this is hello there. Okay, that's it. All right, and so let's have a look. So it does show me that it took about 1.5 milliseconds. So it took about 1.5 just to execute all of this 1.5 milliseconds to execute all of that code. All right, so we can also clear the console by doing console.clear. So if we look at that, then we can see that the console was cleared. There's nothing on the console because I cleared it. All right, so that is the console that we need to learn. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about in a moment is the variables. But I'm going to stop the video